Ukraine has pulled off another major long-range attack inside Russian-held territory, and this time the targets were anything but random. Ukraine says it hit a big oil refinery, military supply depots, drone factories, and other sites that keep Russia's war effort going. The message behind it all is pretty clear. Kyiv wants to make this war more expensive for Moscow, and prove that Russian military and industrial sites are still vulnerable, even far from the front lines. As the war grinds into another tough chapter, Ukraine is zeroing in on the targets that keep Russia's war machine running. The biggest target was the Afipsky Oil Refinery in Russia's Krasnodar region. Ukraine's military says the overnight strike set the place on fire. Russian officials admitted a fire broke out, but claimed it was caused by falling drone debris after their air defenses kicked in. Why does this refinery matter so much? Because fuel is one of the most important things any military needs. Tanks, trucks, planes, supply convoys, none of them move without it. So by hitting energy infrastructure, Ukraine is hoping to pile even more pressure on Russia's military. But the operation didn't stop at the refinery. Ukraine says it also went after sites tied to drone production and weapons manufacturing. Several locations in Russian-occupied Crimea were reportedly hit in the same operation. According to Ukraine's general staff, those spots were linked to building drones and naval gear used by Russian forces. It all points to a growing Ukrainian game plan. Instead of just hammering the front lines, Kyiv is increasingly going after the whole industrial network that keeps Russia's military supplied. Military experts love to say that wars are won by logistics just as much as by combat. And it's true. A tank with no fuel goes nowhere. A drone factory can't build weapons if the power and supplies get cut off. Depots, transport hubs, fuel stations, and factories all keep an army fighting. Ukraine gets this. That's exactly why so many of its recent operations have focused on refineries, fuel depots, weapons plants, and transport routes. The idea is simple. Chip away at Russia's ability to keep the war going over the long haul. For Russia, just holding the front line is already a huge job, but protecting thousands of kilometers of factories, military bases, and energy sites? That's even harder. Every Ukrainian strike that lands forces Moscow to move in more air defenses. Every refinery, factory, and base needs protecting. And that leaves Russian commanders with some tough choices. Because every defense system guarding the rear is one that can't be used on the front. That's a big reason Ukraine keeps pouring resources into its long-range strike capabilities. This war isn't just about trenches and frontline positions anymore. Both sides are leaning hard on drones, missiles, and long-range weapons to hit targets hundreds of kilometers away. Recent Ukrainian strikes have reached energy plants, weapons factories, and supply hubs deep inside Russia. And Russia keeps firing its own long-range attacks at Ukrainian cities and infrastructure. As the technology gets better, the battlefield keeps spreading. Distance alone just doesn't keep you safe anymore. The big question is whether these strikes can really dent Russia's war effort. One attack won't change the war overnight. That's just not how it works. But hit those fuel supplies, supply lines, and weapons factories again and again, and the pressure starts to add up. Ukraine's goal is to force Russia to burn through resources on defense, while gumming up its weapons production and supply chains. Meanwhile, Russia will almost certainly keep adjusting its defenses and firing back. This back and forth is far from over. The real story here isn't just one refinery going up in flames. It's the strategy behind the attack. Ukraine is increasingly going after the systems that hold up Russia's military power. Fuel, factories, drone production, logistics, supply chains. These are the building blocks of modern warfare. And by knocking them out, Kyiv hopes to wear down Russia's ability to fight a long war. As both sides reach farther and farther with their weapons, the battlefield keeps stretching into places that once felt safely out of reach.